The first bell of the day rang like a promise and a warning all at once, echoing through the bright corridors as sunlight poured through tall classroom windows. Mara Solis stood alone at the front of room 214, palms resting on a clean wooden desk, breathing in the smell of fresh paper and floor polish. It was her first week as the new teacher, her first real chance to begin again, and she had no idea that by lunchtime the calm daylight would shatter and force her to reveal a part of herself she had sworn to keep hidden. What the bullies thought would be an easy target was about to become a lesson they would never forget. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and quiet strength, take a moment right now to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel Acts of Kindness to support stories that remind us who we can be. Mara had chosen teaching because daylight felt honest to her. Morning light did not lie. It exposed dust in the air, scratches on desks, nervous smiles, and unspoken fears. She believed that if children were seen clearly enough, they might grow kinder to themselves and to each other. Her life before this job had been full of hard edges and sharp lessons, but she had learned to soften without breaking. She dressed plainly, wore her dark hair tied back, and spoke with a calm steadiness that felt earned rather than practiced. To her students, she probably looked ordinary. To herself, she felt like a survivor walking into a fragile dream. The school was known for its test scores, its trophies, and its pride. It was also known quietly for something else. There were hallways where teachers avoided standing too long, corners where laughter carried a cruel edge, and students who learned early that power could be taken rather than earned. Mara sensed it during her first recess duty, watching clusters form under the bright sky. She noticed how some students shrank while others expanded, how backpacks were nudged aside and jokes landed too close to home. She made notes in her head and promised herself she would be present, consistent, and fair. She believed presence could change things. By mid-morning, the whispers began. It started with a paper ball landing near her feet, then a chair scraping too loudly, then exaggerated sighs when she turned her back. She kept teaching, kept her voice steady, and wrote on the board as sunlight traced rectangles across the floor. The class watched her with curiosity that slowly twisted into challenge. A few older students, tall for their age and already hardened by the need to impress, tested the boundaries. They mocked her soft shoes, the way she paused to help struggling students, the calm that refused to crack. They mistook her gentleness for weakness. Mara had faced worse than whispers. She had trained before dawn and after dusk for years, practicing discipline when no one was watching. Taekwondo had been her refuge during a life that once felt unsafe, a language of balance and control taught by mentors who believed power was nothing without restraint. She had earned her black belt not through anger but through patience, repetition, and respect. When she stepped into the classroom, she left that world behind, or so she thought. She wanted to teach history, not fear. As the day unfolded, the testing escalated. A stack of papers went missing and reappeared crumpled. Chalk dust was blown into the air as a joke. Laughter rippled like heat across the room. Mara addressed behavior calmly, redirecting, documenting, trusting the process. She believed systems existed for a reason. Still, a knot formed beneath her ribs as she recognized a pattern she had seen long ago, the one where cruelty feeds on silence. The daylight outside remained warm and ordinary, birds flickering past the windows as if the world itself had no idea what was building. The breaking point arrived during a late morning activity when the class was supposed to be working quietly. A sudden shove knocked her books from the desk, pages scattering like startled birds. The room erupted. A chair tipped. Someone blocked her path as she bent to gather her things, laughter sharpening into something uglier. In that bright room, under the honest light she loved, Mara felt the old fear flicker. She also felt something else rise, steadier and stronger, a calm that had carried her through countless early mornings on cold mats. She stood up slowly, shoulders relaxed, eyes alert. She did not shout. She did not threaten. She moved with the precision of someone who understood space and timing, using presence to reclaim the room. When one student lunged too close, trying to intimidate her, she shifted her stance and redirected the movement with practiced ease. There was no spectacle, no cruelty, only swift, controlled motions that neutralized aggression without causing harm. The room fell silent as the energy changed, as the bullies realized they were no longer in control of the moment. What they had intended as humiliation became exposure. Mara ensured everyone was safe. She stepped back, breathing evenly, and used the procedures she had memorized to call for assistance. Administrators arrived quickly, faces pale in the daylight that now seemed to glare. Statements were taken. Students were escorted out. The classroom, once buzzing with tension, settled into stunned quiet. The sunlight returned to being just sunlight, falling across desks that looked suddenly smaller and more innocent. The aftermath spread through the school by lunch. Stories grow in daylight, bending and stretching, but the truth held. The new teacher had not snapped in anger. She had protected herself and her students with discipline and restraint. Parents called. Meetings were scheduled. The bullies faced consequences that included counseling and accountability rather than revenge. Mara was asked to explain herself, and she did so with honesty and humility, emphasizing safety, responsibility, and the importance of addressing root causes. In the days that followed, something shifted. The hallway corners felt less sharp. Students lingered after class not to test her, but to ask questions, to seek reassurance, to be seen. Mara incorporated lessons about respect and self-control into her curriculum, connecting history to the choices people make when they feel powerful or powerless. She started an after-school club focused on mindfulness and movement, open to anyone. Under the afternoon sun, students learned how strength could be quiet and how confidence did not need an audience. Mara did not become a legend, and she did not want to. She became consistent. She showed up each morning as daylight filled the room, greeted students by name, and listened more than she spoke. The bullies, now facing their own work to do, were no longer the loudest voices. The students who had once shrunk began to take up space, raising hands, sharing ideas, trusting the room. Change did not happen all at once, but it happened steadily, the way daylight advances inch by inch. Near the end of the term, during a bright afternoon when the windows were open and the air carried the sound of distant laughter from the field, Mara watched her students work together on a project. She felt a quiet pride, not in what she had revealed that day, but in what had grown since. She understood that true power lay not in domination, but in creating safety where others could flourish. Her black belt was not a weapon. It was a reminder of who she was when tested, and who she chose to be when the test was over. If this story has touched your heart, if it reminded you that strength can be gentle and courage can be calm, please take a moment to engage with this video. Your likes, shares, and subscriptions help these stories reach people who need them. Before the ending, we have one special request for you. Please comment below and share what kindness or quiet strength means to you, because your words may be exactly what someone else needs to read today. As the final bell rang on another sunlit day, Mara erased the board and straightened the desks, the room glowing with ordinary light. She stepped into the hallway with an easy breath, carrying her bag and her resolve. The school moved around her, alive and imperfect, and she moved with it, steady and present. In the end, no one needed to be destroyed for the lesson to land. The bullies learned boundaries, the students learned safety, and Mara learned that sometimes the truest acts of kindness are the ones that stand firm in the light.